All right, so let's flip it to the other side of this coin. What surprised you in a bad way in week number one? Rod, I'll start with you.
I would say the Detroit Lions, their offensive line surprised me. They're two new guys. Just wasn't the same intimidating, big physical offensive line that we're used to seeing, but also on the defensive side of the ball, you just didn't see in the secondary with those two Pro Bowl safeties, you didn't see the aggressiveness. You didn't see them, forcing turnovers, just flying around, making plays. They had miscommunication. They blew some coverages, coach. I didn't like what I saw from Detroit Lions. I thought they really struggled.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And probably my biggest disappointment was that Lions offense. We knew there's going to be a little adjustment period without their coach, Ben Johnson. But you've got all these players. We were at the Hall of Fame, and everybody said, "Oh no, we're fine, we're great, we're just going to pick up where we left off." And they had trouble moving the ball, had trouble scoring. Highest scoring offense in the league last year, and it took them about 50 minutes to even put up a touchdown. So they've got to get some things corrected and get going. That was a disappointment to me. The other unit that disappointed me was the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. We expect to see rock'em sock'em football from these guys. They added a couple of guys in the secondary. Hey, we've got better cover guys. Think they're going to be lights out. They played against the Jets team with a new quarterback, new system, and they could not stop them. I'm going to give you some stats that we aren't used to seeing from the Steelers defense. 6.4 yards per play, 182 yards rushing, no takeaways. They got one on special teams, but no takeaways at all, and only forced 2 punts in the game. That's not the kind of defense Mike Tomlin wants and not what we're used to seeing, Rod.
Yeah, just think about the Lions and how much they miss Aaron Glenn, right? I'm sorry. Jordan Love, he went out there and basically did whatever he wanted to do. This defense didn't create any interceptions. They didn't have any sacks. Like I talked about, the miscommunication. They look bad, coach. And that's, wow, they look bad.
Yeah, and those are two teams that we're thinking are going to be Super Bowl contenders or, very strong defenses. And we didn't see much from them. So I know it's only week one, but that was a disappointment to me.
It was. I'll give you a team that disappointed me, and I think it was a mixed bag as to why. But the Kansas City Chiefs, when you go back and watch them a season ago, they were not nearly as dominant. And yes, they found ways to win these close, tight games. They got some good breaks late. They created some good breaks late. But in this game, I just thought you saw a lot of those same issues boil over and result in a loss. All of a sudden, Chris Jones, he's given up contain, and that's costing them a big play late in the game. I still worry about Jawan Taylor, who they paid at the tackle position. He's still a concern to me. Travis Kelce's getting a little older. I know he made a big play, but this group of receivers that they have, in particular now with Xavier Worthy getting hurt, they just do not have much firepower for Mahomes to work with. And I think you see him back there struggling to find somebody to get the football to with protection that's not great. Coach, I see a nod in your head.
What did you see? I agree with you. I agree with you. We had Jason Garrett in an interview with Andy Reid. And how are we going to respond to this Super Bowl loss? And Coach Reid, the players took it on themselves. They really worked. We did this. We knew some things we had to fix. Well, it looked like the same old things here. And the same things that we saw struggling with last year, we saw it again in week one. So that was a disappointment. You're absolutely right.
Guys, you look at the last two games the Chiefs played, the Super Bowl, and you look at them against the Chargers. They got physically dominated in the last two games. And they just got physically beat up. And you don't see the same team. Like you talked about, Jawan Taylor, he's probably a worst right tackle in all of football. And Coach, you said it a couple years ago. How do you consistently call plays when you have that level of weakness at your right tackle position? I think Josh Simmons, he's going to be a really good player. He's going to continue to get reps, continue to get used to just being out there. I think he's a fabulous young athlete. But when I look overall, man, you have to have Patrick Mahomes in playoff mode every single week for this team to overcome some of the weaknesses that they have on the defensive side of the ball, as well as the offensive line.
And what I'm seeing from the Chiefs is their big plays come from street ball. It's not where, hey, I hand the ball off and I run for 15 yards in a big hole, or I drop back, set up, and throw and hit a guy 20 yards downfield. It's Mahomes running around throwing balls like this, or, just plays that are not designed. You've got to design some plays that make yards, and that's what we're not seeing from the Chiefs.
And defensively, Jack, you see the frustration. You mentioned Chris Jones out there. He didn't look great. At times he'll get off and then all of a sudden he'll get double teamed and he'll stop rushing. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on with Chris Jones? And then you saw Drew Tranquil get in his face and hold him accountable. I love to see that. But you just don't see the same effort. And maybe, Coach, a part of that is just having so much success, making so much money, assuming that you can just show up and teams are going to say, oh, this is the mighty Chiefs, we can lay down. But hey, people are coming at the Chiefs, and the Chargers, they smelt blood with the Chiefs, and they took full advantage. They were a lot more physical, and that's the thing that I hadn't seen teams consistently beat up the Chiefs physically. I always felt like the Chiefs was one of the more mentally and physically tough teams, and to see them get pushed around in the Super Bowl and the first game against the Chargers, this is not the Chiefs that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah. I mean, from day one of Jim Harbaugh getting out there to LA, number one thing on his mind has been how are we going to beat the Chiefs? I mean, how are we going to build this team to beat the Chiefs? Play them twice a year. You got to beat them to get out of the AFC, all those things. And I'll tell you what, that damn Joe Alt, to be able to go from right tackle to left tackle and play really a flawless game at the left tackle position against guys like Chris Jones and good rushers, it might save the Chargers season. They were in a serious trouble losing their left tackle, their big money left tackle, and Joe Alt slides in there and he can flat out play.
And I tell you, and Coach, I tell you this, you were spot on, because I wanted the Chargers to draft Brock Bowers, which wouldn't have been a bad pick, but you kept talking about, and you were so excited about this young kid. You said, Rodney, this kid is going to be fabulous. He learned a lot from his dad. His dad was a fabulous player, and you were spot on, Coach. And to be able to have the ability to go from the right side to left side, it almost looks like he's a better left tackle than he was a right tackle. It's just astounding to me.
And it really fits with the mentality Jim Harbaugh is trying to create there. We want to be tough. We want to be physical. We want to control the line of scrimmage. And they did it. But Jack, to go back to your point about disappointments, Kansas City, we're going to get this fixed. We're going to get this fixed. We're going to get this fixed. And they didn't. It looked like the same thing. How about the Baltimore Ravens? We're going to get this fixed. Ball security, finishing games, not making mistakes. We're going to get this fixed. We know we can't beat ourselves. And then you give up a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, Rod.
Yeah, and to me, Coach, I always talk about the Baltimore Ravens finishing, and that comes from the head coach. I said it before that the players were good enough to get them there. It takes the head coach. And if I'm Harbaugh, this whole year, all I would do is practice situational football, Coach. I would walk through it. I would practice it. I would watch it on tape. That's all we would do, is put ourselves in different situations. This team is a great team. They have a lot of quality players, but they break down in situations. And us at the Patriots, we were really good in situations because that's all we ever practice. Every single day we walk through it, we practice it. They asked us questions. What happens if it's 2 minutes left and this, that, and the other? That's what Harbaugh needs to focus on. This is their Super Bowl opportunity. This is their Super Bowl window, and he has to get it done. And that comes from the head coach. The pressure comes from the head coach. And that's something, Coach, that we respected about your teams in Indianapolis. You guys were so well coached and so good at situational football. We felt like we couldn't make a mistake. We couldn't allow you guys to have an edge because you guys were so smart. And I just don't see that from the Baltimore Ravens. But Jack, it comes from the head coach, and that message has to radiate throughout the locker room.
Yeah. Rob, when you say situational football, I know what you mean, but specifically, how do you practice situational football with a coach like Bill Belichick? What does that look like, practicing situational football?
Oh, he'll say first team defense, first team offense. Okay, offense, you got one timeout. You're down 4 points. You got 1 minute, 21 seconds. You got to go 60 yards to score the touchdown. And it becomes a full-blown game. It becomes the most highly, and Coach, you know this, most highly competitive part of practice when we're going against those guys. And, whether you win or you lose, that segment has the bragging rights in the locker room, you know what I mean? But it becomes highly competitive to the point where guys are pushing and shoving, still talking trash once we're done. It just creates an environment of competitiveness, but you're learning so much about yourself. Can we communicate? Are guys blowing coverages? Are we doing a great job of, executing a game plan? You just have to practice that. And the more you put yourself in those situations, the more comfortable you become as a player, as coaches, as a unit, just being able to handle all that pressure that comes in that moment, Coach.
Yeah, and we talked about it during the rain delay in Philadelphia. When I was in Tampa, I learned it from Denny Green. All of a sudden, hey, I'm going to stop practice right now. In the middle of practice, guys go inside, coaches get with them. You got 15 minutes. We're going to go over things, and then we're going to come back with 1st and 10 passing in 20 minutes. Let's see how we do. But all kinds of situations, you got to put your teams in them. Hey, guys, there's 4 minutes left. Offense has the ball. You got to score, not score, but you got to hold on to the ball. Don't go out of bounds. We're going to emphasize our runs. If we throw it, it's got to be safe. Quarterback, you might take a sack here rather than throw an incomplete pass because we're going to keep the clock running. Defense, we've got to do things to force them to stop the clock. We've got to stop the 4th down play. All those things. You practice them over and over and over so you know what to expect when you get in those situations.
You practice it, Jack, almost to the point where the players are sick and tired of it. Okay, yes. Coach, we got it.
We got you. We got you, coach. We know.
But even when we say that, you still continue to practice it because you never become comfortable, just saying, okay, we got it all figured out. This is something that you do throughout the entire season.
And then it becomes just habit when you're out there.
Absolutely.
It's cool because you always hear the term situational football, and I just wanted to know the specifics of what that actually means in practice.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.